All right, looks like everything is ready to go. Take it away.
All right, thank you. So we'll go ahead and get this, the Advisory Commission meeting going this morning. Suzanne, could we do roll call, please?
Will do. Elise Lipnick.
Here.
Alan Jacobitz.
Here.
Billy Larson.
Here.
David Haber. John Hughes is excused. John Deming. Julie Lutke.
Here.
Linda Schellenberg.
Here.
And Lisa Haynes.
Here.
Mel Fuller. I think she will be. Okay. All right. And Rebecca Smith.
I'm here.
And Sandy Kinney.
I'm here.
Thank you. That's everybody.
Thank you very much. And so everyone received a copy of the agenda and the minutes in their email last week. So are there any changes we need to make to the agenda as written for today?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Thank you, Sandy.
Andy.
Linda, did you second that? Okay, thank you, Linda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Alan?
You said opposed. I said nay.
Nay, okay. You gotta keep us on our toes. All right, well, we'll pass the agenda as written, and then we'll move on to the meeting minutes of our last meeting in March. Were there any changes, edits that need to have get meeting minutes? All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved. Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, well, and so all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Alan? Any abstaining? All right, so we'll pass the meeting minutes as written. And so we'll go ahead and we'll take it away. It looks like Gretchen, it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm just curious if we all have our microphones muted except for those that are speaking. I'm just double checking. I'm getting a little bit of trouble listening to the information. Is everybody okay? Okay. Well, we have Gretchen Bennett and we have DJ Vincent here to give us an update about the shelter on Portland Road. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight. There's Gretchen. Gretchen, can I have you introduce DJ to the group and get us started?
I would be delighted to. It's nice to see everybody again. And for those of you I may not have met, my name is Gretchen Bennett, and I'm on the staff team at the Mayor and City Manager's office here in Salem. And I'm delighted to introduce you to DJ Vincent, who leads the Church at the Park, which is a really innovative and interesting, accomplished nonprofit here in Salem. I have a couple introductory remarks and then I'll turn it over to DJ to see what he might want to add. And we're both very open to your questions. As you know, the city acquired the property kind of across the street from Center 50 Plus. It was formerly the Zamora site, and we had been utilizing it as a duration warming shelter during the winter in partnership with the Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency. As we concluded that strategy and have been working really hard to locate other locations, we recognized the potential opportunity to utilize the space at Portland Road in a different way. And so are going to activate the parking lot. You might remember when I came in the fall, we had planned on activating the parking lot, but never were able to achieve that. So we're going to be activating the parking lot for work and sheltering. I want you to know that, and maybe indoors, that's still a question up in the air. I want you to know that there is a total cap on how long we would be using this property for sheltering, which is 18 months. And that began in the fall. So about 6 months ago when Community Action began to operate this space. So after about another year, we would absolutely cease any sheltering strategies, and the city will go in a different direction with that property. But so we're going to be switching the management strategy and entering into a plan with Church at the Park. And so I'd like to welcome DJ to share any comments before we take questions.
Yeah, so welcome. I see some folks I know on this call, and it's an honor to be invited to your advisory group. So the Church at the Park has existed as an organization for 14 years, serving the unsheltered. And a lot of that has been providing food and navigation services. We've been doing more and more winter warming efforts. And this last winter, we were honored to be operating a women's shelter on State Street in the duration model that was 12 hours a night. And then most of you probably are aware of the Pavilion project, which was actually a demonstration and pilot project where we had 50 campsites set up inside the pavilion, and we managed that 24 hours a day for 2 months. And we saw a total of 120 individuals check in and then eventually check out of that site. And so our plan as your neighbors across the street is to have 20 pallet-based shelters. So they aren't made out of pallets. The company that provides them is called Pallet. They come on a single pallet, and then we set them up. They're durable, they're sanitizable, so that we can turn them over if guests are able to get stable housing. Each one is 64 square feet. They have power and heat, and they have 2 bunks in them. And so we will be housing 40 people a night in those, and those will be residents 24 hours a day. We will have 3 staff on site 24 hours a day. And then during the day, we'll have 3 additional staff who have the task of trying to provide case management and navigation, so that our stated goal is to see people transition within 60 to 90 days. And that's a high goal for ourselves, but it signals to the participants and the guests that we're wanting to create movement. And we know we only have this site and this opportunity for 1 year. It's not a forever home for anybody. We'll also be we manage a safe parking program as Church at the Park in partnership with the city. Currently, we have 8 active sites, and each of those sites has a maximum of 8 vehicles. And so we will be utilizing the property as a safe parking site as well. And you probably, if you've been by already, you can see that there are 6 to 8 RVs on the property, and we have a staff supervising those folks 24 hours a day and providing hospitality and direction for those folks. So that's some of the basics. I would say it's important to know that we are taking a women first approach to this project. It's our overall goal to see several managed camps and structures come into place in this next year in partnership with the city and other nonprofits. But this one being, again, the only active one, we want to serve folks that we feel are very vulnerable as unsheltered individuals. And so we're focusing mainly on women at the site. And so the Parkers who are there are in a women first model. And we already have over 30 folks who are at the State Street shelter or the Pavilion who are registered to be among the guests, the 40 guests who start. The start date is April 19th. You're going to see the delivery of the pallet product next Monday, the 12th. And then the community is invited Tuesday and Wednesday to come and see the build out and to be volunteers for that build out project. I see the chat is popping up on the Zoom and asking like if people can come visit and those kind of things. So before we officially welcome the residents would be the perfect time to come and visit. It'd be less cumbersome for you and for our staff. So I think that's a pretty good baseline, and I'm sure there's questions.
DJ, this
Hi.
is Alan.
Hi, this is Mel.
Can you tell me a little bit about staff? DJ, this is Alan. Can you tell me a little bit about paid staff versus volunteers, their training and the financial support for them?
Yes, very good. So right now behind me, there are 40 Church at the Park staff receiving a week of training in de-escalation. Yesterday, the mental health crisis response team from Salem, from Marion County, was doing a training for us. Today, this afternoon, Center for Hope and Safety will be doing a training for us on working with women around domestic violence. Later this week, Northwest Human Services will be doing a training on health and crisis response. So these staff will be getting 30 hours of training this week, and they've already had 2 weeks of training before the Pavilion Project in, again, conflict resolution, de-escalation, all the best practices we can find on sheltering policies and practices. And the reality is we are not taking a volunteer model approach to this project. We'll be inviting volunteers to come and help with things like the mobile shower unit that we want to be on site at least once a week. I am working on a partnership where we might be able to have laundry and a shower truck on every day, which would increase the opportunity for volunteers. So I hope that answered your question. Oh, the funding. So we applied with the state for the emergency sheltering grant in a collaborative effort with the Homeless Alliance, with 9 other nonprofits, and we were awarded funds that will help with this project. And then we are accessing, some of the funds that the city created with the emergency declaration in January, I do believe it was, or maybe it was earlier. Gretchen can clarify that, but we're combining those 2 funding streams for this project.
I can add that the city's allocation was made out of a non-departmental general fund on November 9th, when City Council voted to allocate funds towards recognizing the crisis around sheltering and homelessness. I think there's a question, DJ, in the chat about signing up to volunteer for the shower truck.
Yeah, so we are posting often on our social media, connecting people to our volunteer coordinator, Chelsea, and I'll put in the chat as soon as I'm done, talking, and you won't have to look at my fingers, that her email address, and, you can get connected with her, and then she can share with you the schedule for the showers.
It'll be important to us to keep a open dialogue as neighbors. We began a conversation with Marilyn to discuss how we might be able to work together and address any issues as they arise, and we just welcome a continued conversation and dialogue throughout the process. I know both DJ and myself are happy to be points of contact.
Hi, I have a quick question. I'm Mel, and I work for Marion Polk Food Share Meals on Wheels, and our office is housed here in Center 50 Plus. My question is kind of twofold, because I live 6 blocks from here, which is really convenient. But how can people, both as neighbors and as partners of Center 50 Plus, how can we help support this new space and make it, how can we be good neighbors and help support it? I know it looks like there's a couple opportunities to come help set up the homes, and then it sounds like we can sign up to help with the shower buildings too. But what are some other ways, just as neighbors? What can we do? What do you need?
Yeah, so I always find that stuff can be a really good, safe start for folks. And so each day we are partnering with different groups around food to offer one really healthy, stable food meal a day. And outside of that, we are very open to donations of any types of snacks. And we are working with, Marion Polk Food Share on that. And, cup of noodles and warmable mac and cheese and, oatmeal go a long way in that department. And then we, is as part of transition. And even during the pavilion project, we saw, we recorded 15 people getting jobs. And so that requires, sanitation, and it requires clothing fit for work. And so we have a donation center where we clean and sort and, get clothes sized. And so we would always appreciate the donation of clothing that would be fit for people to get out to work.
Are there going to be children at the shelter? You said it was women centered, and a lot of
Yes.
times kids
So
follow.
the limitation of the pallet house is that it can only have 2 residents. So if it was a woman and 1 dependent, we could accommodate that, and we'd be happy to. But we would immediately start working with Family Promise and kind of their more robust structure of helping families to identify a more suitable situation.
Okay, so being women-centered, will you also need products like feminine hygiene, things like that? Is that going to be helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Our donation center coordinator ends up posting about that need almost weekly. Hygiene items are a big need.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I had my hand up, but I want to make sure not to jump on anybody. Hi, I'm Julie. I work with Northwest Senior Disability Services, and curious about the accessibility of your pallet houses. Are people required to use both bunks? So, for example, I had an 80-year-old through the office last week who was houseless, and we ended up connecting with Lindsay Dent and everybody to get her where she needed to be short term, but she had some limitations. So this person cannot climb in a top bunk. And so just curious what opportunities there are for that, and just also your referral process and when you're ready to get going on that. Because we do have people from time to time who we would love to send your way. This person happened to be female and would probably fit your demographic pretty well as far as somebody who needed help in a jiffy.
Yeah. So hopefully I answer all your questions. So the one thing is, on these particular structures, when I said bunks, they'll be one on the left side of the room and one on the right side. So there won't be a top bunk. In the future, they do have a family-based unit that is 100 square feet, and they are stacked. And so that would be a concern if that were the case. And we probably wouldn't be putting 4 unique individuals in a setup like that. So we're really trying to discern if that's the best use of funds for future projects. Then when it comes to the referral, so we believe, based on, just the number of people we were serving in March, that we'll be able to make the first, 40 connections. But after that, instead of managing our own wait list, we are planning to make spaces known to the coordinated outreach group that has formed and is very, active. And so in some ways, we want to drive folks to that collaborative meeting and, then make it aware to those outreach individuals. Hey, we've got spots for 2 ladies this week, and then they can engage and do their great work and connect with the ladies they know are vulnerable and they've been trying to find spots for.
So DJ, this is Alan. Are the people that you're going to be accommodating, are they tent people that are leaving tents? Is that situation going to change, or are these other people that you are helping?
So Alan, based on the fact that all of us could probably drive around today and see 1,000 people in tents, I don't think you're going to see much of a difference when we house 40 people. the reality is that these folks that we are going to house were just recently sheltered at State Street or the Pavilion, and now they're living in tents, many of which are at Cascade Gateway Park right now.
Well, if there isn't any other questions, I just want to thank Gretchen and DJ for coming. And if you have need any additional information, something percolates after we get off from this meeting, feel free to email me and I can connect you to Gretchen and we can get those questions answered, okay? Thank you so much, you two. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Bye,
Thank you,
DJ.
Gretchen. Have a good day, guys. Okay, so Marilyn, I don't see any action items or discussion items. Did you have anything we had to put in there?
Well, no, we're still under public comment. We have another speaker.
I knew that, but I was testing you to make sure that you're following.
Yes. I am, we have Austin Ross and Eunice Kim from City Planning and they're going to be here to give us an update on our Salem Comprehensive Plan update. And I was going to spotlight them. So let me find, hi Eunice.
Hi.
I'm going to say add spotlight.
I think Austin's here.
And I'm going to spotlight.
Great.
And I'm going to.
Can I share my screen, Marilyn?
You sure can.
Okay, fantastic. Let's see if I can. Can everyone see the screen, my screen?
We sure can.
Great. So I'm Eunice Kim, Long Range Planning Manager with the City of Salem, and my colleague Austin is here. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Austin Ross, also a long range planner with the City of Salem.
Thank you so much for having us back. I think the last time we were here was last year. I think it was also virtual. And we wanted to give an update on the Our Salem project, let you know kind of where we are in the project and how you can continue participating because it's still happening. So just as a reminder, the Our Salem project is multi-year project to update what's known as our comprehensive plan. So this is the big framework, goals, policies, and map that really guide how we grow and develop in the future. So you've seen this probably before. This gray area is the area that we're planning for. So it's not just the city limits, but the unincorporated areas of Marion and Polk County in this gray area. And you all probably have seen a lot of development happening across the city. And so this is really our opportunity to plan for that growth. We're expecting 60,000 more people by 2035. So we're trying to figure out, where should people live, work, get around the city, what's the impact on the environment. And so we've done a lot of work to the state, and I'll explain kind of where we are and where we're headed. So in March, we really, it was just a month ago, we really reached a major milestone in this project where we brought a high-level vision to the council and asked for their acceptance. And this vision really had essentially a map that you can see here that shows where we think different types of development could happen in the future in Salem, as well as high-level goals around housing, transportation, parks, open space, the environment. And we asked the council, are we headed in the right direction? Can we then start working on the details of the project? And they said yes. They accepted the high-level vision, and so now we're working on those details. So today we're really going to focus on policies. So ideas essentially that we would incorporate into the updated comprehensive plan to really guide how we make our decisions, how we do our planning as a city. There are other details that that we are still working on, and I'll touch on those in a second. So I wanted to give a couple examples of different policies that we are considering right now related to equity, engagement, housing, and parks and recreation. This actually ties nicely into the presentation and the discussion that DJ and Gretchen just gave related to housing. So these are just a really small sample, and just wanted to give you an example. So we're really trying to focus a lot on equity and community engagement, both through the process and how we do it, as well as the outcome. And so these are two policy ideas that we are considering. The first one really has to do with inclusion in our process. Should we be expanding our opportunities for people across the community to participate in our planning decisions, our investment decisions? So communities of color, underrepresented folks who maybe aren't typically kind of at the table. Is this something that we should be doing? And then on the other side of that, in terms of the outcomes, should we be making sure that the decisions we make, whether it's a transportation project, this policy is about transportation, or parks, et cetera, really consider who is benefiting from those projects and those decisions and who may be burdened? And should we really be looking at that across the city with an equity lens? Some other ideas that we're considering is really making sure that our meetings and our materials are accessible to everyone in the community. So that could be not only translation services, but maybe an ASL interpreter. Should we really be working proactively to make sure that folks can participate in our projects, in our processes, in our outreach? And then similarly, should we be actually consulting and talking to the groups that we are going to be, that we're going to be reaching out to and ask them, what's the best way to reach out to you? Is it best that we do a survey? Is it best that we come and have a small group discussion? Do you like big public meetings? What's the best way to actually work with you? And so that's another policy idea that we have. So switching topics to housing. I know this is a big topic that you all have been discussing. And so we have a couple examples here. And the first one's really around affordable housing. We've heard pretty loud and clear throughout the community that people think that our affordable housing should be distributed across the community, not just in one neighborhood, not just in one area. And so we have a draft policy related to affordable housing. And then green building as well. Greenhouse gas emissions and reducing greenhouse gas emissions is a big priority in the community and for the city. And so this is one way we could help do that. And would also save money in terms of energy efficiency. So should we as a city be encouraging housing to incorporate different ways of essentially being more energy efficient? Two others. So this first one is about social isolation. It's something that we've talked and heard a lot from you all about how this is a big concern among seniors and others. So should we be encouraging housing that is designed to encourage communication, collaboration, kind of community? So that could be kind of your cottage cluster where you have like a common green, for example, that people can share, or other different ways of kind of making sure that people are not isolated. And the next one's really about shelter in the broad range of housing types that we need as a community to address not only those that are currently unsheltered, but those may be at risk. So should we as a city be encouraging everything from shelters, what Gretchen kind of was talking about, to maybe more room and board facilities or transitional housing or supportive housing? How can we kind of have that whole range of housing types? And is that something that we should have as a policy as a city? And then I just want to touch on parks. One of the ideas is that, we've heard that there are a lot of different types of parks in different communities. We have kind of our typical park types, but there's been a desire, it seems, to look at different types of parks, whether it's a nature park or a pocket park. Should we have that as a policy? And then the second idea here is really making sure there's ways to get to those parks. Should we be connecting them through trails or off-street kind of ways that makes it more accessible to connect things to each other? Two other ideas related to parks. One is about access and universal design. Should we be designing parks for all different generations and different types of access? I think we've started on this path, and we've heard that there's really a need to meet different park users. And so is that something we should consider? And then should we start incorporating a little bit more types of uses within our parks? So they're not just parks and recreation, but maybe you can grab a bite to eat, or maybe you can like fix your bike, or maybe you can, have a plaza, or just kind of incorporating temporary or maybe even more permanent uses that are compatible with parks. And you see that a little bit at Riverfront Park, where there's other uses there as well. So we are doing all this outreach on a broad range of policies and trying to get your input and the input of the community broadly. And so we do have a survey online that kind of runs through different ideas. So if you're interested in housing or transportation, you can kind of put your ideas in there, or you can respond to ideas that we have. And we'll then be kind of incorporating, updating all of our draft policies and presenting that back to the community. The goal is to adopt this whole thing by the end of the year. So goals, policies, maps, zoning changes. It's ambitious, but hopefully we'll get there. And I think there's something in the, I see there's something in the chat. Austin, are you looking at the chat? Oh, you're putting things in chat. Great, thank you. Sorry, I just saw a blinking light. So we're having weekly policy meetings. We had our first one last week and it focused on equity engagement. But you'll see here every week we are focusing on a different topic. This week we're going to be focusing on housing, and we'll run through kind of all of the ideas through the end of May. And so we are having these virtual meetings at noon and at 5:30. And so maybe Austin can put the links in the chat as well. So you're welcome to participate in those. We're doing some fun kind of interactive polling to get your thoughts as we kind of present those. And then, so beyond policies and goals, we're still working on the map. And so we're putting together an interactive map that will be really at that detailed zoning level. So the goal is that you can click on a property, see what we have proposed for it. Are we saying it should be residential or multifamily or commercial or et cetera? And then you can put your ideas. Do you think that's right? Or do you think that should be shifted to something else? We hope to have that online, I'm thinking mid-April. And then as part of our greenhouse gas emissions reductions work, we have a zoning subcommittee that's made out of city councilors and planning commissioners that are really going to focus in on the zoning code itself and ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through the code. So we're going to have those meetings hopefully by the end of the month, and we'll have those through the spring. So there's a lot of opportunities for you all to kind of plug in, depending on kind of what your interest is. And obviously you can always contact us as well. So that's my information in the project website. I'm going to stop sharing to see if there's any questions. I know that was fast and furious, but it'd be great to hear kind of, do you think we're on the right track with some of those policy ideas? Do you have other ideas? Comments, questions?
A question, just because I've been involved in this work in my own community where I live, and just curious, what's your approach to reaching out? Like, how are you connecting with people who are living on the margins to get their input? And this just is kind of personal too, because I work at Northwest Senior Disability Services, and we, as part of our area plan, are always trying to engage with communities who we feel are underserved. So I'm just curious what your approach is to try to engage those communities.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And it has been a challenge, particularly as we've gone into the virtual world. And so we've been relying a lot on organizations that serve those communities to hopefully bring that perspective. So we're actually going to Northwest Senior and Disability Services this afternoon to get their input as well. But we're open to suggestions if you have any, beyond reaching out to kind of the communities or the organizations that serve them. I will say it has been more of a challenge. We can't be as out and about as we used to be and just talking to people. So yeah.
I think pre-pandemic, we were able to reach out in a lot of different ways, being at community events, school events, where we would see families who may not normally have time to come to an evening meeting or be on a webinar, something like that. So trying to meet people in places where they'd be anyway.
I think part of my work was with transportation issues too, and just I was just astounded. I don't live in Marion County, but that the folks who actually rode the buses weren't the ones being asked the questions on their accessibility and things. And so, yeah, just my encouragement to keep reaching out. I love that you're wanting to engage, because that's a really important piece of things to get that perspective. It's hard to get, but it's commendable.
Thank you. Are there other big topics? I know transportation, housing were two big ones. Are there others that you want to make sure we're focusing on? Hi, Marilyn.
Go ahead. Who is that? I was just going to say, I absolutely love, looking at ways that, bring community together, living together, intergenerational exchange. I love that idea of all generations living in a community, whether it's apartments or close together neighborhoods or tiny towns or I don't really know, but I love that that's made it to the report and that there's more exploration happening.
And a lot of those ideas are from you all.
And for people who are interested, all these ideas, the complete list of policy ideas is available on the project website. It's sort of divided into two chunks. Some of them were presented in the draft vision that council accepted. And then some new ideas that we're considering that come from comprehensive plans in other cities. And so a lot of those we're testing at these weekly meetings to say, this happened, this is a policy in some other places, is it right for Salem? So we just want to get a feel for what's right for this community. And that survey is also a way to weigh in on some of those new ideas.
Good. You know, I was just going to ask Heidi Miller. I'm going to hit her up and she's smiling at me, sort of. Heidi, do you have any thoughts on how their report kind of coincides with our village idea? A brief explanation. I know the advisory commission's heard about it. We've talked about it, but I think that much of what we're trying to do with taking large neighborhoods and breaking them up into smaller groups fits nicely into some of these directives. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I think absolutely. I think the concept of building more synergy in localized areas, be it for neighbor to neighbor and for community partners, whether it's business or agency, being able to interact with the neighbors and create concrete solutions for housing, for nutrition, for mental health services, anything that's needed. I see there's a real opportunity here. Also, just being able to practice neighbor to neighbor relations in a livable environment where they can walk to their park safely, and school safely, and have access to wholesome foods as well as convenience and other things. So yeah, it's really fun to see it. I can't wait to go visit your website and see the full scope of the project. But I think there's a real opportunity for the village to be a partner and a way for you to reach out with our WOW van, for example, when we go into those neighborhoods, and you'll be able to access those maybe underserved communities and get their feedback. So that's probably one of the first tiers that I would say we'd be able to offer partnership with.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Any way we can partner and help reach out. One of the other kind of big ideas that, Heidi, that reminded me of is that came out of this project, or is coming out, hopefully out of this project, is the neighborhood hub, and the idea of kind of creating these areas within neighborhoods that can serve, whether it's shops or services that are, walkable. So everyone's not having to drive to Lancaster or drive to commercial for services and kind of daily needs is something that we're really continuing to work on. So you'll see that kind of more fleshed out in the future as well. One of the things we did hear from the community is that those hubs shouldn't just be like places to do yoga or places to get coffee, though those folks do want that as well, but also to have some community, both community center kind of facilities as well as social services. So those aren't just concentrated in one area and more dispersed. So we're working on the zoning of that neighborhood idea and what should be allowed within that, and in making sure that it's broad enough to not just be kind of your coffee shop yoga, but also those other things.
Excellent. Well, anyone else have feedback or comments? Well, very hopeful, Eunice. Thank you. And Austin, thank you for sharing, and feel free to come and update us anytime.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Okay.
Perfect. Do we have any more public comment, Marilyn?
Let me see. I do not think we do. Let's see. Oh, I've just replaced the spotlight with Heidi. Everyone might get their chance to be the spotlighted person today. Just be ready. You're on camera. There we go. There's, oh. All right, remove spotlight. There we go. Okay. So we do not have any other public comment, and we can move to the next item.
Okay, wonderful. So
we do not have any action or discussion items today.
All right, then it looks like we're on to you for your director's comments.
You know what? I'm going to ask permission to go last. We have some really excellent reports today, and I want to make sure we get to everyone. And we're going to start with Julie from Northwest Senior Disability Services. Are you ready, Julie? You're up.
Sure. All right, so I'm going to try to do, I don't get very fancy, but I did a whole like 2.5 pages for y'all for a PowerPoint.
Okay.
So
feel free to share your screen.
All right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get it. Hang on, let me get it in slide. Let me get my slideshow started. I just want to make sure it's showing up. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right, that's as fancy as it gets. Now we're done. So, I just wanted to let you know this is it's a privilege to talk to you about this. It's been a while since well, this is my first real, I don't want to say, I've been talking through at you all this year, but it's fun to be able to share what we're up to. So anyways, I just passed my 1-year mark as ADRC program manager with Northwest Senior Disability Services. And so we've been pretty busy this year doing some stuff. What we do in general, just for anybody who's new to what Northwest Senior Disability does, we are an area agency on aging. We serve we have 6 offices in 5 counties. So in case you were wondering, our world is a whole lot bigger than Marion County, but we definitely have a whole lot of our folks we serve in Marion County. So just keeping that in mind, we have Marion, Polk, Clatsop, Yamhill, Tillamook, and did I get them all? Marion, Polk, Yamhill, Tillamook, Clatsop, 5. And we have an office in Woodburn as well as Salem for our Marion County offices. Just as the ADRC manager, this number is important to me. From April 1st, 2020 to April 1st, 2021, we managed 31,262 referrals for services of all kinds. So we refer both internally and externally for our services. So some of you as community partner representatives get our referrals, but also we refer internally to our own programs. We handle the whole suite of Medicaid services, which is anything from just kind of a medical insurance all the way up to in-home care, serving people in their homes or in assisted living or skilled nursing facilities through the Medicaid programs. And we also have a whole suite of Older Americans Act programs that we do home delivered meals, congregate meals that some of you are familiar with, Oregon Money Management Program, SHIBA is our senior health insurance benefit assistance. So I know there's some volunteers in some of your areas as well. Senior peer mentoring. One I'd like to highlight today, and I already sent it on to Suzanne, is Oregon Project Independence. So if you're not familiar with this program, it's a way for people who would otherwise fall through the cracks, apply for, and if they have minimal needs, for some help with just their regular life, whether it's assistance with some bathing, dressing, housekeeping. It's not as high a level of need as, say, the Medicaid program, but if you need a little bit of help and it helps postpone getting onto Medicaid, Oregon Project Independence might be a good option for folks. And right now, usually we're required to hold a waiting list. The waiting list is non-existent. So anybody who contacts us right now can get screened for and assessed for by one of our case managers for Oregon Project Independence. And the cool thing about this is it's a sliding scale program. It also doesn't require a social security number. So if you are engaging with folks who are undocumented but need a little bit of support and have some resources to help pay part of, even if it's just a few dollars a month to pay for a home care worker to come for 18 hours a month, this might be a good program. So I'd be happy to talk to any of you more about that outside the meeting, but I did send a brochure about that to Suzanne for sharing later. We've given out a lot of information on coronavirus this year, as you may imagine. So everything from just basic information to people, where to find testing, where to find just support. It's impacted how we do our service. As you can imagine, all through last year, a lot of the skilled nursing facilities were shut down because of COVID and weren't accepting new patients for a while. And so that really impacted our work. Family caregiver support, that's an Older Americans Act program, as is options counseling. This is not therapy. This is where people, you may have already met a couple of my staff people, Julie Mendez and Susie Deeds, who do long-term care counseling for folks, and then referrals to community partners. So that's just kind of a nutshell. This is a little bit of extras of what we were up to last year and this year. The coronavirus support, one of the things we did when things first got started last year was, it seems unfathomable now because everybody has masks and every store you go to and provides a mask if you don't have one. But there was a time when there was a mask shortage, and so we coordinated to send masks to people who needed them. We also, of course, gave out information and resources, but then we also, through our home delivered meal program, provided over 600 toiletry boxes for our home delivered meal recipients. And this was coordinated through a grant and through some coronavirus funding that my supervisor helped deliver those boxes to our meal sites and got those, because there also, if you recall, was a shortage of toiletries a year ago. And then as we got through the summer and managed just regular coronavirus stuff, we obviously, I'm sure we all remember the wildfires. So we created extra resource lists and support to folks, but we also sent a team from Northwest over to the fairgrounds that had set up kind of a rescue place, both for people and animals. And so anybody who had lost their services for their SNAP or food stamp services, our workers helped. And then our ADRC folks also provided resources how to get people connected to whatever they were needing, whether it's reroute them to housing support or try to help them find family members or connect with people in outside counties where they might be able to seek refuge. So we did a lot of that kind of work. Also participated in the MASS, which is the I forget the name. I forget what it was called. It's an acronym for a group of folks who work together to help people post-fire. I'm forgetting the M part, but it's the support. It's a support team. SNAP replacement, as I mentioned, that was a big deal, where people who had just bought groceries all of a sudden had a wildfire and they had refrigerators full of rotting food because either their power went out or their house was destroyed. And so we worked with a lot of folks to get replacement food. Other big thing that happened to Northwest and to the entire state that you may or may not be aware of is the Integrated One system. And this is what we call a no wrong door process, where anyone who walks into either our office or a self-sufficiency office or a child welfare office, if they're requesting a public benefit, that anybody should be able to help them, regardless of whether they walked into what would have been the correct building or not. So an elder person could go into self-sufficiency closest to them and still receive some support for their Medicaid, their organ health plan, their SNAP, any of those services. And likewise, a young family could come into our offices here at Northwest and receive help with temporary assistance for needy families or employee-related childcare. So there's the whole state is now on one system to allow people to access whatever public building they go into. And that's been a monumental change in how we do our work here. It was too much to explain all that, so I just put one system. So, but it's been a big change in how we do our work. And then this year so far, ice storm support. So a lot of our consumers were without power, and that's impactful, as you may estimate that, we did a lot of calling out to our case managers, do a lot of calling out to make sure our folks are okay, because we have people who are on life-sustaining equipment, such as, ventilators and things like that. We did a lot of checking in and supporting folks and rerouting them to, say, if they were in their home, but they didn't have electricity and they needed support, we got them to say an assisted living facility temporarily while their power was being turned back on. Things like that happen. That doesn't always make the news. I'll just say there's a lot of behind the scenes work that happens there. And then my biggest project right now just is setting up and connecting our service consumers and our home delivered meal consumers with the vaccine. And so right now we are in the process of calling out to folks to ask them if they'd like the vaccine, and then we help remove the barrier of, say, computer access or long time on the phone. So we have been scheduling. I have a couple of temporary staff who I've trained up, and I have been reaching out along with a few agency staff to make sure people who qualify for the vaccine can receive and get connected to the vaccine. And very soon I'll send out information. We're going to be opening this up in a couple of weeks. Once we're done doing our outbound calls, I'm going to set up an inbound call center for anybody who is eligible. Our focus, of course, is folks who are aged and disabled, because those are folks, that's our niche, but we will help anybody who calls who wants support in getting connected to a vaccine, as that May 1 and potentially that April 19th date, as President Biden might be moving that date for all eligibility for 18 and older folks. So that's kind of my new deadline in getting folks going, but we are going to be setting up a call center so that if you call the ADRC, you'll have the option to push number 3 if you need vaccine support, and then it'll connect you to somebody who will help you sign up for vaccines. No guarantee that we have a lot of them available, but that's part of my work right now, is resourcing where to help folks go. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm sorry if I, blah, there you go. Do you have any questions?
It's definitely great information. Thank you. Does anybody have questions? I'm sure
That's a
they
lot.
do.
It's a lot of stuff I just threw at you.
Are you all back in the office yet?
We're still at about 20% capacity. Soon we will be rotating people in, but we will, at this point, our whole structure of our office has been set up to support telework full time. So even, we reorganized all of our cubicles. We had a lot of renovations happen, so we will never be full capacity in office again. So everybody at some point will be at home, even if they just come in the office one day a week. That we're rotating staff in and out of our cubicles, and it's all shared work. It's all shared, except for folks like myself who get to come in every day for the most part. But a lot of managers are in quite often, but then, our line staff, primarily there's a lot of teleworkers, and we'll hopefully soon start rotating people back in, but they won't be full. There's only a handful, like say 20% of our staff who are full-time in the office all the time.
Well, it's definitely been one of those years.
Linda's, she's
Linda,
talking,
you're
but I
muted.
can't hear her. There you go.
I was wondering, are you going to people's homes, like elderly or disabled people, to give their shots?
Okay, so we are not. So what we're doing is we're helping connect people with the information to get to where they need to go. We do have, I'll say where it is right now. We provided a list of people who identified as homebound who cannot leave their home, and provide that to the state. And so the state is taking care of making sure that those folks get connected with. Really, the home health agencies are connecting with folks, in the priority for that is to try to get those folks the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, so they don't have to be visited twice to reduce their risk of COVID exposure. But Northwest isn't handling that in particular. We're kind of keeping a separate list and having the state handle that directly with our public health partners and Salem Health and folks like that. right now, my encouragement, if anybody has a question, is to ask their primary care provider, because that's kind of the funnel, that's the direction that things are coming for that. But as for our more mobile people, or people who are mobile with the help of a home care worker, we've been getting some extra support, kind of special treatment, I'll say, as we set people to the fairgrounds and to other drive-through clinics. And so we have some, I don't say they're not official memorandums of understanding, but we have some, hey, can we get in this way? And, you know, we just have some understandings that we've been working with, and it's been pretty successful. We've had quite a few people take advantage of the opportunity to get vaccinated.
Because with the nursing homes, that was really good. Everybody got their injections, and nobody that I know of that Avamere South has actually had it, COVID.
Which is great.
That
And
I
that's
know of.
right. And that was one of the first group of folks who received vaccines. And so, yeah, there was a lot of clinics set up. So this work that I've been doing is really kind of the in-between stage for our folks who are in-home care consumers, who are still somewhat connected and agile in the community, but maybe haven't been over the last year because of COVID. But they have people who are, you know, family members or hired staff who kind of help come and support them in their life, in their daily activities. So yeah, this next phase is going to be more for general public. And so that's a bigger, it's a pretty big bite I'm about to chew. So
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take you off spotlight if we don't have any more questions. We'll take you out of the hot seat.
No problem. Thanks.
Julie, thank you so much.
Of course, anytime.
Next, we have Mel from Marion Polk Food Share, and I think I am the one sharing the screen. And from the beginning.
Hey, Marilyn, I made some changes. So can I change the screen? Can I share the screen?
Okay, there we go. Let me stop
Sorry.
the share. Yep, I thought I was way ahead of the game because I was sent this to
I know. Okay, so can everybody see? Let's see.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Let me just make a couple of quick adjustments here. It's so good to see everybody. As you can see, I'm back in the office. I have been back. I came back in first part of March. With schools starting to go back a couple days a week. I passed the school baton to my husband, and I came back to work. So it's great to get out of the house. So everyone can see my Meals on Wheels partner update. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So what an amazing year. Oh my gosh. I didn't even have to say anything. I think everybody just knows. So let's see. So for 2020, just some quick numbers. And this is the calendar year 2020, no fiscal years or anything like that, January to December. So individuals served by home delivered meals, 1,374. So think about putting that many people in one space. It's a lot. That's how many people we served this year. Individuals through home delivered meals. Through congregate and later drive-through meals, we served 418 individual people. That comes out to 208,775 meals for the year being delivered to homes, and meals that were either eaten on site or picked up was 13,538. We also nearly doubled the amount of routes that we do in a typical day. So the amount of routes that we had in January doubled by December with COVID. So lots of changes, lots of activity, and we're so thankful that we were able to do it and serve this many more people in such a interesting time in our lives. This chart, you can see I started tracking when COVID started. Can you see my cursor when it moves on the screen? Yeah, okay. So here's COVID right here, March 2020. So this is what normal looked like. Everything to the left, that's what normal looked like before. We had full dining rooms. We had we had home delivered individuals, and this chart is individuals served, not meals. Okay, and then this was our total. So we had a nice divide between people coming to eat and people getting food brought to them. We closed our sites, our meal sites, in March. We saw a plummet in our numbers because we weren't serving these congregate people anymore. And then just started to climb as we started integrating those previous on-site diners into home delivered. So you can see it flattened down here, kind of started to go up. And we were just having more people call for the service. It wasn't just congregate people switching to home delivered. And then you can see here in June, we started offering curbside pickup at both South Salem and Center 50 Plus. And you can see that that's stayed pretty level throughout the year. But you can see the number of individual clients. You can look at this trend line. You can see things just keep going up. And right now we're serving over 800 individual people a day through both of our services that we have. It's been quite a ride. It's been fun. What questions do you have so far after seeing that slide? Anything I can help explain before I move on? Oh, okay. The changes that we made to our program during COVID, our meals are now delivered cold instead of hot. We just simply could not cycle that volume of meals through our ovens unless we wanted to start in the wee hours of the morning. Plus, if you keep food hot for that, or keep food hot for too long, it starts to deteriorate the quality and then it doesn't taste as good. So this was the way that we could have the food still at good quality. And we of course make accommodations for clients who are unable to heat them. You know, if you're confined to your recliner and you use all of your energy and your muscles to get up and get the things you need, like restroom breaks and things like that, you might not be able to make an extra trip to the kitchen to stand there for a couple minutes while your meal heats up in the microwave. So we made some accommodations up to and including dropping off microwaves for people who didn't have them, that needed them to heat up their food. Distribution. So in order to keep drivers distanced, we had to lay out the food on the tables for them. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. You'll see pictures that'll help that make a little more sense. But with all of the social distancing needed to keep the drivers and volunteers safe, plus all the increase in meals that we were getting, we suddenly had to occupy a lot more space. And extra staffing, we added an additional administrative assistant and an additional program assistant up here in the office. So we have 2 brand new staff. And we also we reassigned someone else, someone who already worked at the Food Share and had worked with the program before. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Alan Pfeiffer, but he came on as an interim co-manager while I was working from home and doing school with the kids. So my work from home wasn't a day-to-day program support or anything like that. It was just kind of back burner project ideas that I could easily work on from home with lots of distractions from the kids. So Alan stepped in and really ran the Meals on Wheels program for us during the time I was gone, and he did an amazing job. It was nice to come back to not just a program that was maintained and kept running while I was gone, but had new things that were making it work better and easier. It was pretty amazing. So I talked about needing more space. Suddenly we needed a lot more of it. We used to use half of the dining room to distribute our meals in the morning for drivers. Now we use the whole place. So we lay out the tables and we stack the routes on the table. There's usually 2 routes to a table. We put all the food out in advance, as well as the milk on days that we deliver it. And now all drivers have to do is come in with their bag and put the food in their bag and then be on their way. We were looking for how can we keep the drivers as far apart as possible, and how can we get them in and out as quickly as possible. And this was the distribution model that we came up with. In the past, drivers would come in with their bags. They'd have to open the oven, count out their meals that they needed, go to the cooler, get the cold ones that they needed, or maybe the frozen. They were really happy with this procedure because they don't have to do anything now. So, and then if they don't have enough meals when they're on the road, we don't get to do that song and dance anymore of, well, I don't know, did you double check the meals before you left? I counted them. Did you count them? So that's just nice to have that that out of the way. So the person here in the background, this is Susan Latham. She delivers for us 4 days a week. So we see her almost every day. Here's a close-up of what our meals look like. Here is the refrigerated main entree. Here is the refrigerated salad and sides. So you've always got like a salad type, some vegetables or dessert, and a bread, a starch item. Sometimes it's a roll, sometimes it's, you know, for French bread, there's always some kind of bread in there. We partnered with Fresh and Local. Is anyone here familiar with Fresh and Local Foods here in Salem? No? Okay, so it's a company run by Evan Remington. It was designed to, it's fresh and organic food for kids mostly. She partners with school districts, not Salem and Kaiser, but some places up in Washington, and she does all of the snacks and meals for the Boys and Girls Club here in town. So we partnered with her. We had, with extra funds through the Older American Act, we were able to provide up to 2 meals a day for clients who were homebound if we needed to. And so we just did not have the kitchen capacity to produce that much food. So we had to partner and purchase it. And Evan, her program was shut down a lot. Schools were closed. They weren't making orders. So she was really concerned about how her business was going to make it through. And then when we got a hold of her, we gave her a little shining light that helped keep it going, which we're really proud of. She'd bring the food in the afternoon. We had to set up a whole second distribution for getting the food out. So you can see here in the picture, we set it up drive-through style. So the food is here under the little porch that we've got out front, and then drivers would just pull up. We would load the food in their car, give them a route sheet, and they'd be on their way. We got really good at this. And Evan was great because she would come and help distribute the food to the drivers too. She wanted to see the food going out, and she wanted to thank the drivers, which was really fun. Let's see, we delivered extra meals through the summer until the extra funding ran out. And then we were able to later on get some additional funding through Meals on Wheels of America, and we did a couple more rounds of that extra food. So our goal was to, 1, get clients extra food, and 2, really help a local business stay afloat. That felt really good to do both of those things. Fires. Labor Day, we delivered food every day despite the air quality and warnings to stay inside. We had drivers who were willing to go out, and like I said, frankly, we just didn't know what else to do. We knew people needed help, and it just didn't feel good saying, sorry, we can't come out to you, the air quality is too bad. That just didn't feel right. And so we tried to be as safe as we could. I delivered during one of those days, and it was scary. I don't know what other word to put to it. It was scary. The clients were scared. They're like, you shouldn't be out in this. You need to go home. And it was dark. The windows were glowing like it was nighttime, but it wasn't. So that was really weird. And, you know, the street lights were on. It was just, you know, it's like raining ash. I had my windshield wipers on. It was interesting. And then we move on to the ice storm. On Wednesday, February 10th, we delivered boxes of shelf-stable emergency type food. We do this a couple times a year for our clients, just in case there's bad weather or a power outage. We're so glad we did it when we did, because a situation which we thought we'd never see, hopefully, we saw it 3 days later. So spoiler alert, we did need the food. We needed it that weekend. Thursday night, we knew that the weather was going to get bad. So we called off the routes for Friday, thinking that, you know, we shouldn't send people out in this, but the storm was a little bit late and didn't get there till Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday morning. Over the weekend, we just kind of took care of ourselves and our own families and where we were at. Monday, most of the drivers showed up. They wanted to go check on their folks, and they had the weekend to get settled what they needed, and they were ready to go check on their people. Over the weekend, my family and I, we escaped. We went to a hotel in Corvallis, and I'm glad that we did, because with internet and phones not working really reliably here in Salem, they were working in Corvallis. So I spent the weekend in the hotel room, kind of rallying my staff, finding out who I could reach, who I couldn't, who had power, who didn't, who could report to work, those kind of things. And by Tuesday, the power was back on in the evening, and we were firing up food, and Wednesday we started delivering as normal. So one of the cool things about the ice storm was seeing people show up, the drivers show up, not having any food to deliver, but going out and checking on the people anyway. You know, we had ways to get emergency food if needed. We had food at the warehouse and things like that. So while the drivers were out, if there was anybody who was absolutely stuck, didn't have access to anything and needed food, we could find a way to get that to them. But that was amazing to do. And then here's a picture of me. My husband took this when I was in the hotel room in Corvallis running the Meals on Wheels program. There's another one of me using my desk, which was an ironing board in the hotel room, running Meals on Wheels from there. But yeah, that's the partner update for Meals on Wheels. What questions does everybody have? Anyone? Linda.
I would just like to say you guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You guys do such a wonderful job, and your volunteers are really devoted.
They are.
Yeah.
One of the things
I agree. That was a wonderful job, Mel. Just amazing.
Thanks, Sandy. One of the other really unique things that happened this year for us was kind of on more of a personal level for me. So being gone for 6 months from your job, getting to come back and kind of restart. You know, you hear the phrase, if you could go back knowing what you know now, what would you do? So I had 6 months to kind of think about that, and then come back almost to restart my job over again. It's kind of what it felt like. You know, I wasn't used to being in an office anymore. I wasn't as used to the program day to day, and we've already started up some really cool things since I've been back. For instance, we are now sending out birthday cards to our clients on their birthdays every year. So we have a box of birthday cards in the Center 50 Plus dining room where we do distribution. Anyone can sign those cards. Anyone can. So if you'd like to add your name to those cards, the boxes are down there all the time. We are down there usually from 10 until about 11:30. So if you want to come by and sign those cards, please do. Please do. The few that have gone out already, people have called and said, thank you for the card. And we even went so far as to get specially designed Meals on Wheels cards with our logo and all that. So we're getting fancy. So if anybody would like to add their signature, please do. What other questions are there?
Mel,
yeah.
From our meeting last month, we kind of talked about how the folks next door at the warming shelter would come over, and that there would just be trash everywhere. They wouldn't use the recycling bins. Have you guys seen any changes in that this last month?
I don't have a good answer for that. I haven't talked to my staff again about that, and they haven't brought it up to me, so I don't know. Maybe that's a question for Marilyn. Do you know Marilyn?
Yeah, there's no improvement. It's actually gotten worse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know, it's not necessarily the people staying in the shelter. It's additional friends that come out to visit and are just, so it's not necessarily connected to the shelter. It could just be visitors of, you know, trying to stay near their friends but can't get into the shelter. So they're trying to stay local in this area. So
Mhm.
that's what we're seeing.
Okay. Are there more questions? You can tell I get excited for these kind of things. I just love talking about what we do and how we do it and the difference that it makes. And I'm always looking for ways that we can add more to it. So since there are no more questions, I'm gonna close with just one thing. We have been using plastic shopping bags for our no contact deliveries, and those are inexpensive. They're handy, but we'd like to use paper if we could. And the paper bags are really expensive. And so I've kind of started to network with my own friends and family and their friends. The paper bags that are given out at the North Salem Fred Meyer for the grocery pickup are perfect. They're exactly what we need. They're blank. They have the twine handles that we can hang on the doorknob. So if any of you use that service or know of anybody who does, please bring us those bags. We can use them for deliveries. And I even got a rubber stamp with our logo on it to put on the bags so it represents the program. Much cheaper than buying the bags and having the logo printed on them. So if you can bring those by the center, you can either leave them downstairs where we do distribution, or you can bring them up to our office. We would greatly appreciate them.
Okay.
Marilyn, that's it. Oh, you're muted, Marilyn.
Yep, want to go ahead and stop sharing? That will be awesome.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
I don't know if I know how. Let's see. I'm in some kind of view. Let's see.
Here, let's see if I can do it. I don't know if I can. There you go. I got it.
You
Okay.
got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You beat me to it.
Okay, thank you, Mel. We, let me take Mel off the site so she's not in the hot seat anymore. Let's see. I got my chat open here and I'm having a little, there we go. Okay, so we have, let's see, I stopped her spotlight. Well, I'll spotlight someone else. We have quite a bit to still get through, so I'm going to ask my staff to give their reports real quick like, and I'm going to share my screen. And let's see. Well, darn it. Okay, from the beginning. All right, let's go ahead and start with Conoy. Just a brief overview, Conoy, if you wouldn't mind.
No problem. All right. So basically, in a nutshell, we've continued to do what we're doing, which is our foot care. And because it has gotten so busy, we are going to be adding a third Monday to our schedule starting in May. Still continuing to talk to our members, class participants, handing out our Fit and Fun packets just monthly now. Our online fitness class subscription is going well. We've got 2 seasons out. We're working on season 3. We've been offering our healthy living Zoom lectures, which have been really well received. We even piloted an accountability group. We received a lot of feedback on that. We had 17 people at our most recent Zoom lecture on our healthy gut. So that was awesome. And some of the upcoming lectures that you're going to see are our breathing basics, which is done by one of our own yoga instructors. Stroke, knowing the signs, which we've partnered with Salem Health to have them bring that to us. And then building healthy habits, which will be done, which will be presented by our personal trainer, Cheryl Worth. So we've got a lot of great things coming up, and yeah, make sure that you sign up for those.
Thank you, Kanoi. There's your breathing information, and we'll go ahead and send this PowerPoint out to everybody. Do you want to give us a quick update on the annual Healthy Brain Conference?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Last count we had was 552 people registered for our event. So that's pretty awesome. We've got some fantastic speakers. They're all really excited to present their information. And we'll be actually doing our run through tomorrow so that we can work out all the kinks. But make sure that you're signed up for it because I think it's going to be a really good one.
Suzanne, would you mind sending out the, working with Kanoi, and let's send out the direct link so our advisory commission can get registered if they'd like to do that. Thank you, Kanoi. Just to let you know, our annual report is going to council next Monday, April 12th, and Rebecca Smith will be presenting. And she does a wonderful job. We're doing it via Zoom, so it's even easier than ever. And if anyone wants to tune in, you can follow that on Facebook, and also it is on YouTube Live. Respite update and food program update with Wendy Kilgore.
I'm trying to get my speaker on. Hi,
You're on.
everybody.
Yeah, I'm in a spotlight, you, Wendy. So
Okay. All right.
There you go. Hey.
Hi. So I'm going to start with respite, and there are 11 participants, and each caregiver has mentioned they are looking forward to returning this fall if we are to reopen. So I have gone on several visits in the WOW van, delivering activity packets, and I was able to hand out friendship boxes to the caregivers and participants this month. So I enjoy seeing everyone, connecting face to face, and they seem to enjoy the visit too. I'm sending weekly emails out on Tuesdays only, and I'll be adding people as I get new requests from the caregiver seminars that I've started this last month. And also from the people that I meet on the WOW van visit, WOW van visiting sites. So let's see, that's respite. And the monthly caregiver seminars resumed March 16th. We had 16 people attend the first Zoom presentation, and that was how to avoid caregiver burnout. I will continue using Zoom to provide the caregiver classes until we are able to hold them in person again at the center. How to care for your loved one with dementia is the next scheduled caregiver seminar, April 20th from 12 to 1. And if you'd like to join, send me an email and I'll send that to you. So my next program is the Adult Foster Home Program. The plan moving forward to promote the activity program to adult foster homes is I'll deliver gift baskets to adult foster homes, which will include like an activity packet, a craft along with the adult foster home brochure that I made, and other goodies. If they're interested, and while we are waiting for the state to open the facilities to visitors, I'll have them sign up to receive the weekly caregiver email and attached activities. They will receive a monthly visit from the WOW van, dropping off printed activities along with a craft for each participant. And once the adult foster homes open to visitors, I will provide them with the entire program, which is the cost of $35. So I have another possibility if we can't quite open up right away. And I thought maybe for the summer we could do some WOW van visits and include the canine corps or exercise class or music class, just depending on the weather and what's allowed. I'll update more next month. Oh, I did make a couple phone calls this week, and I've got 3 adult foster homes that are interested. One of the adult foster homes has 5 homes. So we're looking at, that's 7 homes that are interested in the program as of right now. So I think that's a good start. I'm excited about that. So my next program is a senior food box program, and we are currently serving 148 seniors in the Salem area. We have 33 volunteers who help with packing and distribution. And I have Sharon that works with me, and she's working about 24 hours a week. She helps with weekly inventory and general maintenance of the food program. She's been a big help and takes some of that pressure off during the week, and she's a great organizer. During the WOW van visits, we will have a sign-up table for those who are still needing groceries delivered to their home. And the plan is to continue food boxes through August. And that's what I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah.
Okay, Bonnie, we're doing good, everyone. Everyone can have, we have questions, you know, feel free to shout it out, or we can at the end.
Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm thinking that March was a wonderful time for us. We blew gracefully, I want to say, into some Zoom classes with Western Oregon student interns. And, you know, at this time, I just want to reflect and share with all of you that how much I appreciate the fact that we have this relationship with Western Oregon student interns. And sometimes I think we don't realize how wonderful it has been that Marilyn established these relationships long ago, and she's built on them. And now she, even through COVID, she was able to maintain us being able to have some student interns here with us through the center and being a part of us. And I'm especially touched by this because I have a daughter who's studying, going back to school right now through Schmeketa. And I just, when this opportunity came up to be with these interns, it touched me because I thought, wow, you know, that's a group of our adults that we kind of maybe through this COVID, we kind of thought they're going to be okay. You know, we've got a lot of other people that need our help. And I just really appreciated that Marilyn stepped forward and said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and take these interns, and we needed them. So I've used them for many years as I've worked here at the center. And as I shared on these Zooms, they touch us in ways that we don't expect. And they have, at this time, I think they shared with us 2 classes. One was to do a little watercoloring, and one was to do some floral bouquet arranging. And they were so fresh and wonderful. And I could tell that the students really enjoyed attending this class. So many of you were there. I want to thank you for that. And again, just to know that, you know, we can be a part of many, many, many adults and community groups here with the Center of 50 Plus. So I appreciate that, Marilyn. Thank you. I also wanted to share with you that we had so much fun doing some soda bread baking and sharing some family recipes with some of our Sealy of the Valley Society members. And that was, again, that was very touching for us to be part of the community. We do have some classes coming up in April, and we're moving along into traveling. We are doing a series of armchair traveling classes, and next is our Germany class on April 20th. And that's definitely an armchair, sit back and enjoy someone's experience and be able to ask questions maybe to a trip that you might want to attend soon. And then on April 16th, it's a Friday, I'm Zooming with a new instructor to our arts and craft program, and she's doing a polymer clay class. And she's going to, again, be doing a series of classes utilizing polymer clay. So you'll be able to see her classes appear in all our publications. So something fun, something new, something different, and some instructors that are excited to come forward and be a part of us. Any questions?
Bonnie, where are you going tomorrow?
Oh, yes, I did want to talk about how wonderful it has been to be a part of the WOW Van visits. Again, it's amazing how connections are being made. When we went to visit, I think it was Inglewood East and Inglewood West last month in March, I was able to connect with one of the residents there who happened to be a computer instructor, retired computer instructor. So I am working with her to invite some of the residents to come and learn about Zoom. I'm hoping that Leela will be able to Zoom with me here soon and establish some kind of connection where at that residency, people will learn from her, and she too will be able to continue teaching computer science classes. So tomorrow, again, I'll be out in the WOW Van, and that's what I'm kind of looking for. I am truly looking for residents that need help Zooming. I am going to be able, starting tomorrow, talking about a Zoom class that will be offered called Introduction to Internet. And that's where my focus is as I'm out in the WOW Van. I will not only be able to say, hey, we've got great classes, I will be able to say, we can help you, here's how we can help you, and maybe peek into some of those residents' communities and see who can help us as well. So excited about doing that.
Any questions for Bonnie? Thanks, Bonnie. Next, I have Heidi. And this is the report she gave us, provided me last month. And I'm just checking in. Heidi, do you feel comfortable talking about just an update on Friendly Caller and Friendship Brigade? And
sure.
Let me spotlight you.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Excellent. Well, the first thing that we'll go ahead and hit on is the Friendship Brigade. Most of our facilities, in January when I did my facility check-in, most of the facilities were still on hold and not doing outdoor visits and the like. So we were still supporting them with cards and crafts, but no real visits beyond our canine corps, eventually getting out there on occasion, still doing distance window visits and the like. And it's amazing, the weather has just changed that around. So we are recruiting again for visiting volunteers, and I'm very excited about that. On the 21st, Wednesday the 21st, we'll have a training for new volunteers to go out and become part of our visiting team at the facilities as well as with the WOW Van. And those will be outdoor visits with social distancing and protocols, but we're really excited about that. And we have 4 of our facilities who are looking forward to regular visits again. So that's very exciting. And then with our Friendly Caller program, in March, that program continues to grow. We have 6 new callers. I think we are connecting with over 65 seniors now, which is just wonderful. And both of those programs too, we've been creating, I've been looking at wanting to revamp our handbook and get all of our volunteer materials up to date, including background check information. So I've been working with Karen Randall, our volunteer coordinator to get those materials out. And it feels good to have a project like that moving along. Marilyn, can I talk about our card and caring craft folks as well? All right, so I'll just do it. We have about 12 active card makers, and including 4 or 5 of them that live at home and they work from home. So we're delivering materials out to them. And that has really been a special development. We had a a donation of quite a bit of craft materials and card materials, and suddenly I'm able to bring packets out to those volunteers, and the fruits of their work were delivered just this last week for the Easter holiday, and we were able to get out over 300 cards to folks, so that was exciting. And finally, just an update on the Friendship Box. Friendship Box is a sponsorship, monthly sponsorship box that we started back in August. And you might remember that we had a pretty good push in for our holiday box, where we got out over 80 boxes to the community. We'll be our next big push is for Mother's Day, so keep that in mind. We'll get a flyer out to you all so that you can get a friendship box for mom or for yourself or for someone special. But the big news there is that P3 stepped in, and they have purchased or made a commitment to purchase 30 friendship boxes to be distributed to seniors in need in care facilities or in the foster settings or individuals at home for 3 months. So it was March, April, and May. So very thrilled about that. And any of those opportunities of outreach that you are interested in, I'd hope you would reach out to me and get involved or just learn about it so that you can share the news with your contacts.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of Heidi? Lots going on as we continue to build on our outreach programming. Just an update, we did get our second van. If you haven't seen it, it's out in the parking lot. We've added 16 monthly visits to neighborhoods where the van pops up. We have kind of a resource table, but also a mini farmers market that we're trying to bring to folks, and we're connected. As a matter of fact, as you see staff jumping on and off, it's because we have 2 visits, one at Pioneer Village and one at Kingwood today, and we're trying to get everybody out there. But we have added a new one that's going to start tomorrow at a place called Mill Creek Apartments. Some call it Mill Creek Meadows Apartments, and some people call it Mill Creek Apartments, but it's over off of State Street on 25th and Walker Road. It's kind of this Y shape, and there's this nice complex there that's run by Catholic Community Services, and we're going to be out there. One of the reasons I'm mentioning that is this visit is the first connection we are having with Mill Creek Apartments, which is the hub and area of our very next village. As you know, we've been talking about creating small pockets of seniors, seniors helping seniors, neighbors helping seniors remain independently in their neighborhoods, and taking these big numbers that live in neighborhoods and putting them into small pockets and introducing them to one another. Well, we have received some support to begin at this one called Mill Creek Apartments, and it includes Mill Creek Apartments, 3 other apartment complexes, and then the surrounding neighborhoods. And so starting tomorrow, we're kind of launching that first step into that relationship. And we're really looking forward to continuing to build trust and get to know the seniors living out there, as well as their neighbors. And what's kind of exciting about this is we've partnered with Catholic Community Services, and they're already working in that neighborhood to support families and address some of the stressors that these families are facing in that community. Well, we want to walk alongside them and do the same for the seniors that are living there. And so you will be getting reports back as we move into our next village. And we're hiring a position right now. It's posted for an outreach coordinator to assist with this work. And we just are, after listening to Eunice's report today and how the community is asking for more neighborhood-centric services and connections and activities, it just reaffirms to me that we're on the right track on how to support our folks living independently. Let's see, I think I'll stop sharing. Just a few little updates, and I'm almost done, I promise. One little announcement that you're going to be looking for. Everyone familiar with our Boomer News or the Northwest 50 Plus magazine? That has been where we've advertised for, I don't know, my whole career, 22 plus years, and it's changed names and owners through the course of those time. Well, we received a notice, and the thing is going to probably have the same ending, and we don't know what our main publication is going to be. So for this month, do not look for Northwest 50 Plus magazine on the stands. They told me that they're regrouping, and we, trying to figure out what we can do to get the word out. We've been really relying on that for all those years. It's for us, a very inexpensive way of reaching 26,000 a month. And we've just penciled it out over the years, trying to mail it to our guests. We have 11,000 members here at the center, reaching them, even if it costs $1 per publication with print materials, that's going to run us $11,000. So it's kind of like, how do we continue to figure out how to get our word out? They're going to let us know as they regroup. I'm sure someone else will buy it and we'll move on with them. But for now, the timing is not great in terms of our advertising needs and getting the word out. So this is why I really hope that any of us that can access Facebook will take advantage of it, because it is one efficient way of us getting the word out right now. Print materials and the distribution of print materials is very expensive, and knowing how to serve a whole community from a single entry point. If we reached every senior, I think it's like 55,000 people that we would need to reach out to. So start thinking creatively about what we can do. I see in the chat, I'm wondering if that's Mel. Is that you, Mel? Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, we should make our own magazine. Me too. I think we should, but we'll see how it all looks and what we can do on that. Lot of energy around our loneliness outreach, supporting seniors living in their neighborhood, but helping them live in their neighborhood in a healthy way. Just isolating in your home is not what we're wanting for people. When we say safely at home, we mean safely at home, yet still connected, separated, but together. So we want to continue to build on that. So as you look at our program, outreach, Wow Van, all that we're doing, just keep thinking about, this isn't just because of COVID. It is an action and a movement that we needed to do for many years. We cannot support all of our seniors from this one current spot on Portland Road. It's just so important that we reach into neighborhoods and we deliver services in the neighborhoods for those people that cannot come to Center 50 Plus, or maybe only want to come once a week, but they have all the rest of the week they want to stay connected. So look forward to hearing more of a hybrid model of things in person, things on the internet, things you can do in your neighborhood, things that you can do from Center 50 Plus, and that we're going to be building a lot of programming. So that idea of come to Center 50 Plus, sign up for a class, you know, that is only one component of the service delivery model that we are building on. I will let you go in terms of my report. Please tune in to our annual report presentation next Monday, 6 p.m. City Council. You can go to the City of Salem Facebook page, and you can also go to YouTube and watch both of those live. Any questions for me?
Marilyn, this is Mel. I've got a quick one. The city council meeting Monday, that'll be available to watch after, right?
Yes.
Okay. I found when I try to watch
recorded.
a city council meeting at home at night at around 6, my kids just go nuts. So.
One of the things you said is it'd be nice if the drivers had the van open. We actually have had the van open during the lunchtime multiple times. We do an 11 to 2. We set it up with crafts, supplies. Our last one was March 17th. We had a big hoopera out in the parking lot all day to be able to address the drivers as they came when they arrived.
The Meals on Wheels drivers?
Yeah, we started at 10:30. Well, maybe that's not early enough. Yeah, we did 10:30 to 3:30 on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. Did
We've
you get
done
a
it
lot of questions?
Times, but yeah, we can do it more often if it's available. I mean, often our van is trying to be out doing services, but that'd be a great education to refer clients to. And also we have flyers as well that are ready to go to people's homes.
Let's coordinate.
Yeah, sounds
because
good.
If we can steer our drivers towards that to know that it exists as a resource. I mean, I'm sure they've seen it, but I don't think my staff knew about the van being open during that time and that's what the purpose was for. So if we can help direct drivers to that, or you probably told us, right?
That's all right.
I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter.
Sorry.
We'll tell more.
Okay.
You can never tell too much. So we're okay with that's good. We'll make sure everybody's aware of that. Anybody else for this group? Oh, Linda.
Hi, I would like to know if you have considered going to the mobile home parks for seniors.
We actually are. That's we have 16 different locations and half of those are mobile home parks.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's
very
a place to go to.
Yeah, that's the majority actually. Of our 16 visits because they're a grouping and it allows us to reach more folks. And we definitely are going to be recruiting volunteers as COVID restrictions lift a little bit to assist us at those visits. It'd be nice, honestly, if it was all seniors from Center 50 Plus out there sharing the good work we do. So look for opportunities there.
That's something I would definitely like to do.
Great.
Okay.
Good. Anybody else? Well, we had a lot of updates today. Thank you for being patient. I loved hearing from both of our partners. I loved the update on the shelter across the street. And it was interesting to hear the great work going on in the planning department and creating the community. And I was especially happy to hear that included many of the points we learned in our age-friendly talk and work. She took those comments seriously and those were incorporated into that discussion. So good job, everyone. Back to you.
All right. Well, if we have Marilyn, was there update for Friends fundraising just besides the St. Patrick's Day?
We don't have any upcoming fundraisers for Friends. We had the St. Patrick's Day, and I don't have the total yet of what we made. It wasn't a huge fundraiser. We maybe made a couple of $100.
I'm sure it was still fun though.
It was.
Okay, well, if there are no other commission comments. Oh yeah, Linda, go ahead.
I'd like to say that, what is it? What's the date for the Cup of Joe that we're doing?
It's, I don't have the flyer ready for it.
Okay, May 14th or something, or something.
It is, I think you're right. I think it is May 14th.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing, I think.
Yep, we're doing a Cup of Joe drive-through breakfast in May. So everyone will get an invitation to that.
Okay, are there any other comments? Anything that needs to go?
Linda, did you have any updates from friends you wanted to share before we signed off?
Well, is everybody aware of the seniors that from the center that helped clear up the brush and tree branches and things like that from several seniors' homes? They made several trips to the place where you take all of that. And they worked, what was it, every Saturday for a few weeks, Marilyn?
We did, yeah. I think we took truck and trailer. I think we did 8 loads, and they're still going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was very impressive, I thought.
It was very good. I think I may have reported more on that last month, but yes, it was very impressive. Very. And they're still continuing to clean up a couple of more yards, and then we'll wrap up that service project.
Okay.
All right, if there are no other comments, are we going to move for adjournment today?
Nobody wants to adjourn?
I'll move.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, thanks, Mel. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Linda.
Linda. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, perfect. Well, we'll see everybody again next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Great
you.
meeting today.